Everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. We're going to give everyone another minute or so to log in. And in the meantime, we'll do a quick sound test. So if you can hear me, please send a quick hello and where you're from in the GoToWebinar chat or question panel. That way we'll make sure that everyone can hear okay. And again, we'll just another moment or two to let the last few people join us for this webinar. All right, I see a few folks saying hello. Thank you all for joining. Hello, Samantha. Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining us. All right. Well, again, thank you everyone from joining. We're going to go ahead and kick off the webinar today. Today's webinar is about mastering multi-site analytics in Microsoft 365. So many of our customers struggle because they have very large implementations with many sites and teams. And the idea is, how can we see data across a platform? So across many sites or all my sites in SharePoint, and then also how we can dive into data about specific sites and how those sites are performing, for example. Quick housekeeping before we get started. We are recording this webinar, so if any of your colleagues were unable to join, or if you want to rewatch, we will be sending a link to all the attendees in the next few days with a recording of the webinar, and not just the attendees, sorry, but anyone who signed up for the webinar. So if any of your colleagues cannot attend, they will receive a link as long as they signed up. And then questions. Feel free to send through any questions you might have in the questions box in the GoToWebinar panel, and we'll leave plenty of time to cover any questions that you might have towards the end of today's webinar. A quick agenda for our time today. We'll start with a brief introduction for anyone who's not familiar with Cardilog, just share a little bit of background, and then from there we'll dive right into seeing some examples of multi-site analytics for Microsoft 365. We'll take a look at different data dashboards, different metrics that our customers can take advantage of. And then, as I mentioned, we'll conclude with Q&A. So for anyone who has just logged in, please feel free to use the questions box to ask any questions, and we'll address those towards the end. So to start out with a quick introduction, we have been providing analytics for 365 for about 20 years now. Started back with analytics for SharePoint on-prem and grew with Microsoft to the cloud. Today we can track everything from SharePoint, the Teams, Viva Engage, and much, much more. We serve customers globally, just about every industry, everything from healthcare, government, education, finance, and just about every industry. And our main goal as an organization is to help our customers boost their adoption and consumption of 365. Our customers spend so much time and effort and budgets creating these environments, creating their sites or Viva Engage communities, and our goal is to really make sure they get the most out of that investment, so that the most users are engaging with their content to help them understand what content they should be creating more of and what content their audience perhaps cares less about and it's less important for them. And so that's our main goal here, to really help our customers understand what's going on in 365, where can they improve, and make those tweaks and changes as needed. We do that by answering the many unknowns. So for example, what's most popular within my site or tenant? Or maybe more important, what's least popular or not being used at all? Do I have entire sites that no one is using? Do I have specific new documents or policy pages that no one knows about? And I should surface that content, make sure it's easier to access. Perhaps if we talk about adoption, which departments in my organization are using SharePoint or Teams and Viva Engage, and which ones need a little more support, a little more help to leverage those platforms a little bit more. And then things like search, what are folks struggling to find? And once I know that, then how can I make it easier for them to find those popular pieces of content that they currently have to waste time searching for? So really addressing and answering these many different unknowns is key to help our customers being able to improve. And so that's the first pillar here on the bottom left-hand side, the ability to track platforms that you've engaged, Teams, SharePoint, and provide the insights needed to better manage those environments. Over the years, our customers told us that the data alone is not enough, and they want a way to engage with users. So we added the second pillar called Engage, where we can just really interact with the user. So if we find out under Monitor that few folks are using our new HR site, for example, well, let's engage with users to make sure they know about that wonderful new HR site. Or if we find out that our sales team is not very active within the intranet, within SharePoint, then again, let's engage with the folks from sales, make sure they know about new sales collateral that we've created for them, make sure they know how to use the portal, and the end goal is this constant enhancement or improvement of SharePoint for our users. So once we have that data, we then have the ability to leverage it to go back, take action, and make SharePoint a better experience for our users. So with that quick intro, let's switch screens here and dive right into the demo environment. All right, so diving here into the demo environment to see some of the data we can provide across multiple environments or sites, and then also into specific ones as well. So here we display all the data collected by Carilog within Power BI. The tool comes with a whole set of pre-built reports. So here on the left-hand side, you can see some of these different reports or dashboards, each one built around a topic of interest, such as visitor adoption. Below that, some search analytics, and then towards the bottom here, a whole bunch of reports around navigation. So what we'll do for today's webinar is walk through a handful of these dashboards and show the data that we can provide across different sites or even across the entire tenant. And then on the opposite end, drill down to a specific site or even a specific list library or individual list items, like specific documents, pages, announcements, or any content that you're curious about. This first dashboard is showing us high-level adoption across 365. But to start out, let's dive into some SharePoint-centric dashboards to get started. So the first thing you'll see here on the left-hand side is going to be that SharePoint hierarchy, which is really key for being able to filter by different sites and then on specific content. So here in the hierarchy, you can see that in my demo environment, we're tracking a few different SharePoint on-prem farms and a few different online tenants. The idea is that we can track as many environments as our customers would like. So even if you're going through a migration or something of that sort, you need to track as many environments as you'd like and include them here within the tool. Within each farm or tenant, we can map out all the sites, and you have a choice of deciding which sites you want to include in the tracking. It can be all sites in your tenant or farm or a handful. But here, for example, I have my HR site, my IT site, management, marketing, social media, and so forth. And then again, I can continue to drill down here from the site down to the list library, all the way down to the individual list item to report on anything you have within SharePoint. So that can be a specific document, a page, a video, really anything you have within your environment. Now I can select a specific area here, like a page or a list or a library or this HR site. If I click on it, I'm now going to filter the entire dashboard for just content within the HR site. So very easy to define the scope that I'm curious about, in this case, the HR site, and then right away see data about that site. If I unselect that site and go back to the tenant, I'm now showing data across the entire tenant. And here I can see wonderful insights in regards to overall trends of the tenant. So this is wonderful for both someone like the admin or the owner of the intranet who might want to see a list of all sites not being used. And it's also great for specific site owners, as we saw earlier, since they can see data about just the HR site or just the IT site. So the owner of each site can see data for their site. So very easy to define the scope, again, the entire tenant, for example, or a specific site or specific list library, and so forth. Let's take a look at some of the data we can see here for multi-site analytics. So first of all, here under content, we have this chart and table. Let's go ahead and full screen this table just to show a little more data. Here by default, I'm looking at the most popular content within my tenant, but I can flip this around. So if I want to see the least popular content, we can do so here, or even show inactive content. So here you can easily see content with 0 page views, or in other words, content that has not been accessed. So this is very actionable data. Let's surface important new content that our users might not be aware of, maybe add a link from our homepage. Or let's remove our archive content, like this 2019 news, that is probably not relevant anymore. But either way, we're able to take action with this insightful information. Next to page views, we have when the content was last viewed. So you can filter this. So maybe show me all content that's not been viewed in the past month or past quarter. Duration, how much time folks spend consuming the content. Are they actually reading the new blog or just browsing through quickly? And then you can, of course, customize everything here. So if you don't want to see data about the average page load time or the exit rate, you can, of course, remove those columns and add other columns of data instead. Next here, we have data about adoption. We have a pie chart here showing us the number of active and inactive users. And below that, a breakdown by department. A department here is merely an example. It's going to be any attribute you want, like country, city, branch, job title, or any other user attribute that you'd like to use. And then we can use this as a filter. So if I click on, let's say, the sales team here at the bottom, I'll now filter the entire dashboard for just users from the sales department. So very easy to see what they're interested in, what they're consuming, what they're not interacting with, seeing all that rich data about the sales department. And again, like earlier, we filtered by the HR site. Let's show that one more time. So in this scenario, I can see what the sales team is interacting with on the HR site. And then if I unselect the HR site, it's now across all of our sites. So now I can see the content that's consumed by sales across all of our sites. At the top right, we have the date range filters. So here I can choose what dates I want to see data for. I want to see data for the past week or month or quarter, whatever it is that we're interested in learning more about. And then we also have here at the left-hand side or at the top here, the content type filter. This is a very unique filter to Cardilog, as it knows the different content types within SharePoint, as opposed to other tools out there which only know the URL of your content. So by default, this table here at the bottom is showing me all content in my tenant, all sites, all pages or documents. But here, if I click on documents, then I'll now see a list of all the documents within my tenant. Or if I go here to select sites, for example, then me as the tenant admin can now see a list of all of my sites, and then perhaps any sites that have not been used in the past month or quarter, and then take action, perhaps removing those sites, archiving them, or something of that sort. Let's take a look at a few more dashboards here before we move on to engagement and how we can leverage this data and take action with it. Next dashboard will focus around search analytics. So again, here we can see data across a single site or multiple sites based on the customer's requirements. And then at the bottom left-hand side, the top search terms. In this case, benefits and business data are the top terms. But if that's the case, maybe adding a link from our homepage to content about employee benefits can save users a lot of time currently spent searching for that information. At the very top here, a few quick metrics, and a little concerning here in my demo, only about half of our users are clicking on one of the results. So over half arrive what we call a failed search and have to waste time asking a colleague about the content or searching again. And throughout the dashboards, we convert the raw data, in this case, into time. We're losing over 95 hours of productivity on failed search alone. So a good indication there's a challenge here, and we should see how we can improve search or improve navigation and help get users the content that they need a little bit quicker. Navigation is next. We'll start with some basics and dive deeper into journeys and funnels. For the basics, you can just copy and paste a URL you're curious about, like your homepage or an important blog or announcement, or search for it right here in this list. And then on the previous page, we'll show you how folks got to the page selected and where they're going to as a next step in their journey. For a more in-depth kind of journey or funnel, a user can build those right here. And so in this case, I'll choose the most popular route in my demo environment. So if most folks end up at this blog, maybe adding a link to this blog way over here at the portal homepage can save users the 2 extra steps they currently need to make to get to that content. So again, as you learn more about the user's behavior, we are empowered to make the tweaks and changes and make it a better experience for those users. And then, of course, we're not just viewing content in SharePoint, we are adding content, we're modifying content. And here, Carla can track all those actions. Here at the bottom right, content creation over time. At the left, content size and growth trends. And of course, you can easily export all this data. You can just export it to Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, embed it as a web part right on the SharePoint pages so your colleagues can consume it there. Or of course, you can subscribe and have the tool send you out a daily, weekly, or monthly email with an updated dashboard as well. So very, very easy to share all this information as well. Besides the analytics, we also have an add-on here for augmented analytics. So here we can start with things like click maps, where we see the information right on the SharePoint page. So here, each blue dot is a mouse click on the page. We can count those blue dots. So now when I hover over an element, we can see how many times each one was clicked on. So different buttons, links, images, and so forth. And of course, things like heat map and then scroll map as well. So really showing us specific insights about how our pages are designed to, again, understand the behavior and then improve the way our pages are laid out, the setup of them, and just help the user have the most pleasant experience as they use all of our content. Final part of the webinar will be here under engagement. Here we're going to take all the data you just saw and turn that data into action. First, we're going to choose who we want to engage with. Do you want to tell everyone in your company about a new site you've launched, a new policy they should read? Earlier, we saw the sales team was at the bottom of our department table. So perhaps we want to target everyone in sales and offer them more training. Or here under the groupies, we can target anyone from a specific department, country, city, branch, job title, or any attribute that you'd like to use. Or if your goal is to boost adoption within SharePoint or Teams or Viva Engage, you can target folks who don't use one or all of those platforms, maybe ever, or let's say in the past 30 days. So now I can send a very targeted message to these inactive users, such as offer them training or more support, but it's a very specific audience based on the data we saw a few moments ago. Once I selected the audience, I can choose how to engage with them. So for example, in SharePoint, we can show these different pop-ups. If in the data, we learn that a few folks are using our new HR site, we can show a red head at the top of the page saying, check out the new HR site with a link to that site. And of course, only appearing to users who have not yet accessed the HR site. So it's a very targeted campaign for just the users who have not consumed that content yet. For folks who don't use SharePoint, for goals to boost adoption, maybe an email or a text message is a better way to get their attention. So maybe we'll send everyone in sales a text message with a link to the new sales collateral that we've created for them. Next, we'll design our campaign. We're just ready to check out the new HR site. We can have a link or button take folks to this new site, or maybe you want feedback instead. Let's change this to what do you think about the new HR site? And so in this case, I'll have people rate my new site, or maybe give me some open text-based feedback instead. So if you're about to redesign the site or something of that sort, you can let folks know that you want their input on how to improve the site or what's missing for them. And then finally, a trigger. So you can schedule your campaign based on people who are scrolling down the page or what they're viewing. So when they're on the HR site, we'll ask for feedback about the HR site. And when they're on the CO blog, we'll ask for feedback about the CO blog. So again, very targeted campaigns based on who you are and what you're doing within SharePoint and 365. So that's some of the examples for data we can provide across multiple sites and really giving customers the insights they need to better manage their sites and their and the content they're creating within 365. We have about 4 or 5 minutes left to cover any questions. So again, if you have any questions, please send them through in the GoToWebinars question box. And let me answer these quickly. Is this just for, so let's see, Julie's asking if it's just for SharePoint Online or if you can track SharePoint on-prem and subscription edition. The answer is that Carla can track all versions of SharePoint, and that includes Viva Engage, Teams, OneDrive, and Exchange. And you can again track hybrid as well. So if you're tracking, if you have a mix of SharePoint on-prem and SharePoint online, you can track both those environments. Let's see, Adam is asking about GDPR. So yes, Cardlog does comply with GDPR. So for European customers, all data stored in Europe, the data is anonymized based on that requirement. And of course, we tackle different parts of GDPR. So for example, users can ask to opt out, and you have the ability to opt them out so that we're not collecting data about those users. Next question from Andra about email metrics. So in regards to email metrics, there are a few things we can provide. One, we have a full set of reports for Exchange. So you can track exactly how many emails are sent, received, by which departments, everything about inactive mailboxes, attachment sizes, unread emails. So we have a whole set of metrics all about Exchange. Another functionality that we have is link tracking. So say I create a new announcement in SharePoint, and I want to share a link to that announcement in my weekly newsletter and also in Viva Engage. Well, with our internal tracking, we can show you how many folks got to that new announcement from the email you sent versus the post in Viva Engage. So that's a few examples for some of the metrics we provide around email. All right, I see that's all the questions we have at this time. So as I mentioned earlier, we are going to send a recording to everyone who signed up to the webinar. We are available if you have any questions over the coming days. We're happy to answer or set up a demonstration for your team if you'd like. And of course, again, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer. You can email us or send a request on our website, and we'll be happy to answer questions or set up a demo. But for now, I thank you all for joining today's webinar. Have a great day.